All right, so we're on week 10 for our drawing course, right? So, got a couple deadlines coming up. We got our portrait project going on. You also have that quiz going on, but you can take that like 3 times, right? And it's open book essentially, meaning that you can have you can have one window with your quiz, and you can have another window open with the classroom page, right? With the Canvas section. You have I just am being mindful because I know on your museum evaluation that it's due on November 7th, which is in, almost 2 weeks. And if you're trying to get that tutor consultation, which is required for this class, you need to set up the appointment this week in order to get that kind of dedicate that you're going to have someone to talk to next week. So do not put that one off until the end because it'll sneak up on you. So that's sort of my feedback for you. Just be mindful of that because that deadline will sneak up. Make sure you're bouncing between both Module 10 and your museum module, right? So double check, make sure you got these two modules going on at the same time and they'll sneak up on you. The other element is going into, going into like the extra credit. You have a few things, right? You're working with the portrait, you're going to work with charcoal this week, and being mindful of what that means for the charcoal is there's vine charcoal, there is compressed charcoal, and there's charcoal pencils. Now, charcoal pencils are great for if you're traveling and you're sketching. They're really hard to do on a large scale, so they're great for a sketchbook. That's kind of what they're designed for. They're not necessarily great for doing like 14 by 17 inch drawings. So that's something you want to keep in mind. That's why I'm bringing this one back up. Even though we worked with Module 8 on reading chalk and Conte crayon, you probably learned that, that Conte crayon, depending on how you use it, you can use the edge on it, and you can also use the side piece of it for filling in large areas and shading. So that's the same thing you can kind of do with vine charcoal. Vine charcoal can erase really easily. So if you're trying to get these soft, subtle tonalities, you can get that with that. The compressed charcoal is almost like your 6Bs on the graphite pencil end. It gives you a really rich, dark black. So if you want that deep matte black, you can get that with the compressed charcoal. And that's kind of what those two are kind of the variation there. You can almost identify like your willow charcoal. That's the one that's that vine charcoal. It's actually burnt wood, right? So that is very similar to like your H's on the graphite pencils. The compressed charcoal is closer to your B's. So that's how I would probably treat those two. It's sort of inverse. On the pencils, soft means darker. On charcoal, hard means darker. So the softer the charcoal is, the lighter it will be. So it's a little bit different than the pencils, but the concepts are still there. You have some areas, some of them, you can't. It's not a one size fits all. You can't just get away with the number 2 pencil, right, for having a very like in-depth drawing. Same thing is with charcoal. You can't just kind of get away with like one charcoal pencil. The extra credit, like the Halloween drawing challenge, is drawing your fear, right? So this is just a regular post. You click on the blue submit button and you're good to go. You can do it up to, I think up to 2 times. So if you actually like on your social media, so if you do this one, put in the hashtag draw your fear, I believe is what I put on here. Yeah, draw your fear. And what you do is you draw for 1 hour and then just draw a fear. Do 2 different fears and then go ahead and post it to social media. Take a screenshot of your post with the hashtag, and that's all I need. If you don't have social media and you're just like, I'm totally off on that, don't do it, then that's fine. You can still get 2 points for doing the drawing, right? So for doing 2 different drawings. So, but if you do that social media, that's 2 for 1, and then that also gets pretty close to like replacing an assignment that maybe you didn't do well on, so that you can use it for that. Going into what we have going on this week, right? I do have an instructional video here on charcoal, and we're going to start with the middle ground. So this video is super important because you're going to notice that we're starting with the middle gray and we're erasing and adding. So it's using both additive and reductive methods in working with charcoal. So rather than like, your tradition of working in a sketchbook, or maybe like when you first started out drawing, right, you start drawing the outline of where things are. I want you to think differently on this one. I want you to really think big and really think about value. So whatever you're used to doing, turn that off, watch the video, and then you can also have it on while you're working. And it's sort of the concept is it's another way to learn how to see volume and to see mass, and that's what we're trying to do with this one. Concept is you're starting with that middle gray, and then you're erasing highlights and you're adding black to make it darker. And it's a really good method to work with charcoal, especially when you're first learning. These are some ideas of what charcoal drawings can look like. Okay, so for this one, what you're going to be working with is on your 14-inch by 17-inch drawing paper or your mixed media paper. You actually have a choice on that. I'm okay if you're using those, or your newsprint. That's that bigger 18 by 24-inch. That newsprint's kind of nice for charcoal. Like it works really well with charcoal. I would say the drawing paper might be a little bit better with the charcoal than your mixed media. The mixed media has a tooth on it, but the surface is you can't get the soft tones that you can get in a drawing paper or the newsprint. You're using both additive and reductive techniques, dynamic range, so I wanted to have a full range of values, and your subject matter is actually open on this one. You don't have to do it doesn't have to be any sort of still life. If you're not sure, do a still life. That's absolutely fine. There's examples in here of different ways. Maybe you're just like, oh, I want to try this with the landscape, or maybe you want to try it with the portrait and see how it looks and see if maybe I'll do this for my final, working with charcoal. So you have some flexibility there. Going into the next part, this quiz, you can have this open like I was mentioning before while you are looking through the modules for the answers. That's totally fine. And you have, I think, up until the end of this week for that one. The project 3 is your portrait. So I'm going to get you some feedback on that this week to see if there's anything that I might steer you around in case. So take a look at this again, probably the end of the day Tuesday, just to be sure that I didn't put any comments on your proposals. All right. Going into that, I think that's about it, right? So then that's the end of this module. So you got this module going on, you got the museum module going on, and that's kind of what we're doing this week. So talk to y'all soon. If you got any questions, feel free to set up a meeting with me and I'll answer any questions you might have. All right, take care.